You said something though about you're just rapping about things that normal kids growing up in the hood, grow up in the projects would rap about, and you have a line on the Sumner, and also I was going through your Twitter today, and you tweeted some stuff out about that, saying that you want to expose like the true beauty of what it means to grow up in the hood. Could you kind of explain a little bit more of that?
Yeah, I think there's a misconception about impoverished neighborhoods, and I think the reason the misconception is because a lot of the artists who eventually speak about where they're from, they had a skewed way of living. It's not their fault, if they say, "Oh, I had to sell drugs, I had to do this, I had to do that." That's their truth, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, there's a lot of normal kids or people who have different perspectives, and I think me growing up, I've always just been exposed to more than where I'm from, if that makes any sense. There's still kids to this day that I know that it's like a vacation to go to 42nd Street. Like, that's like an event, you know what I mean? And it's just because they haven't really had that much exposure to other ways of thinking. And that's always, it's consistently been said in hip-hop, and I think I'm one of the artists that, at least in this day and age, especially like in Brooklyn, that are just trying to elevate that concept. Like, Common has a line about that on Respiration, finding it hard to imagine he hadn't been past downtown. It's like he was talking about him touring, and it was like stunning that his friend had never really left one specific area. And I think that stigma has like followed hip-hop a lot, where you think there's only one side of like the projects, but there is the kid that didn't really have to dabble into a lot of that. Like, I traveled to the Dominican Republic a lot, every year at least growing up.
Is that where you're from?
That's where my parents are from, yeah. So, like, you get to really see the difference between poverty levels, where you think your own poverty level is like, oh, this is poor, and then you go and you see people who have to work every day literally just to eat at the end of the day. Like, they're literally breaking bread, making ends meet that day. And you really see a lack of opportunity or whatever the case may be. And I don't know, it opens up your perspective. But I think also at the same time, poverty has like beauty in it too, because there's a lot of appreciation for what you do have, as opposed to like people who are so like money hungry, or people who want it all because another person has it all. And I think like growing up in the projects or growing up in the Dominican Republic or whatever the case may be, you kind of get there's a sense of like pureness to the people there that
I feel like more appreciative too.
Yeah, extremely. Like, they're more appreciative of the clothes that they have on. That's why you see somebody like maybe their outfit represents their self-worth in a way. Not that it defines it, but it's just like, I'm happy I have this. Like, I'm appreciative I have this, as opposed to someone who has a surplus of everything that this is just what I have for now, and then you throw it away. And
well, it feeds into, like you said, you're a curious kid before, so you're saying you actually traveled outside, your known areas into like Manhattan or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess that feeds into your curious mindset you were talking about before.
Yeah.
Kind of going off, so you're wearing an NYU ring, so do you go there?
No, I graduated.
Oh, nice. So did you so you started rapping in high school, right? Like around then?
Well, junior high school.
Yeah. So did you want to make it as a rapper, or were you always focused on education? Would you put a premium on education versus rapping? Like
a more traditional route?
Well, I wanted to follow education because I saw that it was important early on, and kind of like what we're talking about. A lot of people everybody has a desire, like going back to like the beauty of like the mindset, like there's stigmas, but everybody also wants a better life. Everybody also wants to provide, and I guess like early on, education was just always a thing that kind of was implanted because my parents both were never able to graduate junior high school. You know what I mean? So that was always like kind of planted, like, hey, that's important. If you want something, there's an educational knowledge that goes with being able to access what it is that you want. So I mean, I knew I wanted to go to NYU since I started high school.
Why is that?
Just because it seemed like that was the place I just needed to be. I don't know.
At school too.
Yeah, it was just like, a lot of different people go there, and it's in the middle of Manhattan. That's where the fuck I should be.
Do you feel like kind of having that experience made you almost a better rapper because you have better life experiences to impart?
Oh, for sure. This was like the first time I really even had white friends. You know what I'm saying? Like going to NYU. Not that you didn't know anybody outside of your race, but first time you were actually able to build genuine relationships. First time, really meeting like people with a lot of different economic backgrounds. You start understanding that the form of struggle that you're used to seeing around you isn't the only form of struggle in this world. So you start being able to, accept everybody for who they are. And, I've had experiences before then. Like I went to Phillips Exeter for like a summer, like on some Smart Kid Camp shit. I met a lot of different people there. That was like my real first experience, like meeting people all over the world. But, I don't know. My life has kind of been tailored to seeing a lot of different perspectives. And
that's great. I mean, you definitely hear it in the music too.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's like part of the reason we really want to interview you, because I feel like today's rappers, like you were saying before, rap at such superficial topics, and people are really afraid to dive into real deep content.
Where
And do you think like the part of the reason is like maybe today's listeners have too short of an attention span, like to really appreciate more lyricism?
Nah, I think that the people who are just being lyrical are like corny a lot sometimes. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to be preachy. They're trying to act like they're above another. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just shooting the Sumner music video shoot. I was just shooting the Sumner video like this past weekend. And, I'm still out there looking swaggy as fuck and, making sure my shit looks right. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But I'm not talking to someone trying to educate them as if they're below me. And I think a lot of the times, the intellect behind a rapper who is supposedly like this all-knowing, they start to become like superhuman, and then it's like they're talking down to people rather than talking with people. And a lot of the times they just don't have taste. They don't know how to relate to the people that they're trying to speak to, because they think intellectually they're such at a higher level that they, I don't know, are better than,
You
know
can't
what I'm
relate
saying?
at all.
And it's just like, no, man, you speak to your people. You speak
Sure.
to people who you want to speak to. You don't speak down to them as if you know more than them,
Part of the
you
beauty
can
of
learn from
music is
everybody.
finding relatable material.
Right, and I think that's the problem. A lot of the times they just don't know how to make songs. A lot of the times the people who are lyrical don't understand tempo, don't understand rhythm.
Oh,
you
sure,
know what I
like
mean?
the classic structure.
Because
of the
they think,
song.
it's all about lyrics.
Yeah.
But it's like, first comes the song.
Yeah.
Then if you're able to say something, if you're able to have a message behind it, if you're able to, have multi-syllabic rhymes in your shit, then that's a plus. But first it has to be a good song.